Middle school math. I always tell my friends that I like teaching middle school math because I think it's the stuff that really gets used in the real world. Like I right now have multiple bank accounts and loans and things like that that operate under interest terms. Like there are interest agreements that you make. So yeah, I mean if I'm going to short answer that, then yeah. All right, so we heard back from the PTSA. And some terms have changed, actually. So we're going to pick back up on 718, so you can do same notes and just like write day 2 off to the side or whatever you want. So we've now decided we're actually going to hire a DJ. Not DJ Hubcap. He's not good enough. He's an amateur.
He's not.
I mean, let's be honest. He didn't even have lights at this last game. Oh, what a chump.
That's me.
Yeah, no, we had one light. We had one roaming light. So, where was I? I left. DJ Hubcap took my spot. So, we were going to borrow $825. But now that we're going to pay a DJ, we're actually going to borrow $1,000, which is actually $1,000 goes fast. Not just for the DJ, but for everything, like the hall rental space that we're going to get and all that. So like DJ's rolled up in there. Yeah, if your DJ charges $1,000, that would be a lot. So they've decided that with their $1,000 loan to us, they only actually care. Sorry, we got to do A first. So if we are charged 2% interest, let's review our interest formula. So with your team, let's see who remembers this today, how much interest would be accumulated each week if they're charging us 2%? I'll give you like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes to do this. So work with your team. No questions to me. If you got questions, ask your team. Was 1,000. New day, new situation, new loan. Forget about the $825 or whatever it was. We're on the $1,000 loan. So technically, I have the wrong problem highlighted. We're doing that. We're going to random card this, so if that makes you nervous, talk with your team. Make sure you're not nervous.
50,000.
Your turn. How much interest will happen each week? With this loan of $1,000 at 2% interest. You got it? Your card's the next one, Savannah. You know how to give me the interest formula that we use? Just one. We're just figuring out the 1 week right now. Oh, sorry. This is DJ and photographer. That's right. Photographers charge a lot. What? Yeah, right. All right, Savannah. If we're trying to figure out interest, what is my formula that we use to figure out the interest?
Principal, which is the starting point, times rate, which is the 2%.
Yeah.
Times time, which is right now.
So to find our interest, we can do 1,000. And I heard of people talking about, or a couple people talking about how easy this actually is. Good catch. That was fast too. So I had, I think one person, I forget if it was this class or the other class, when going from percents to decimals, make sure we're shifting 2 places. So 2% comes back 1, then another, and we got to put a 0 in front of it, so it's 0.02. Glad you guys caught that quickly. So, another fun little trick that we can apply. Did you really just? I know.
They did.
It's
They went boop, boop.
it's because the USB connection has some sort of issue. If I move that decimal to the right 2 places, this is not a fraction, right? So we're not doing the same thing top and bottom. I can actually do some opposite things and say I could just do 2 times 10. Yeah, you can do the opposite shifts of the decimals. So this comes out to be 20, right? So every week we would owe them 20. Now they come back and like, you know what? Actually, we only need to make $18 each week.
Oh,
Talk with the group. I will give you 30 seconds to figure out what that means the interest rate is. If they only want $18. So now they're saying forget the 2%. We just want $18 per week. Go for it.
buy a lottery ticket. Like,
Rubbers.
but I guess they don't work. They should donate it to charity. They should donate it to because you did this dance. I just forgot.
It's not.
Oh, right. 18 equals 1,000.
Shouldn't really need a calculator. You never. And our next contestant. Oh, Quinn, that's fun. Quinn, what should I do to try to get the R by itself?
So to get the R by itself, you need to divide each side by 1.
By 1?
Yeah, I think.
Not just 1. And division by 1 doesn't change anything.
I didn't really do that.
So you're good. Let's work through this together. 1 R is fine. 1 times R doesn't change anything. What else is happening to R over here?
It is making it small. It is.
There's 1,000, right? This 1,000 is multiplying with my R.
Yeah.
How do we undo? Division. This is not very bold, but division by 1,000. And that happens on both sides. So R now equals 18 over 1,000. But if I want percent, what should my denominator be? 100. So if I bump this decimal to make it 100, I have to bump this decimal. This comes out to be 1.8%. Which, if you're working with $1,000, that is why we have like nice number relationships happening right now. $18 turned into 1.8% because it was on the 1,000. Yeah, question? If I wanted to jump right to percent, I need to be over 100, right? Because percent is my number over 100. So I have 18 over 1,000, which I could punch that in my calculator, and it would give me 0.018, which is the rate. But if I want the percent of it, I'd have to move this over to be percent, or I can just figure it out from the fraction. Because if we have something over 100, that number on top is the percent. Cool. Other questions?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Fine.
I figured that if 1 is just 10 and 20 is just 20, or 2 is just 20, I figured that in that 10 you can divide into this, which makes this is 20,
Yeah.
or 2.
$2.
It would be 18, because it would be 4.
Yep, I like that reasoning too. We know what 1% is, right? That's $10. I can work from that 1%. Actually, we could even break down to like a 0.1% would then be $1, right? If 1% is 10, then $1, 0.1%, or a tenth of a percent. I like that. Other questions on 87? Sorry, would you say something?
What was the, why did you divide it by 1,000?
Because this is I equals P times R times T. Right, so I just set up my interest equals my principal times rate times time. We don't want 1,000 R. We just want R. We're trying to solve for what is the rate. So we divide by 1,000 to get rid of that 1,000 and make this just 1 R. Because what we're solving for is just one value of R. Yeah, that's divided by 1,000 too. So we have to do it on both sides, and that's how I get 18 over 1,000. Anything else? Even though this is the same stuff we did yesterday, quote unquote, it's different applications. So please have your brain turned on, and if you struggle, please ask the question. I keep clearing instead of capturing, my bad. So we're negotiating again. Right? All this back and forth. I'm being very tired. So we go back to the PTS and we say, okay, look, we need to rent a hall. We need to pay a DJ. We need to pay a photographer. We want like $1,800. And they're like, ha, you're fine. So they decide to loan us $1,250. We asked for $1,825, right? They said no. And they did loan us $1,250. Great, wonderful. But because we changed the principal amount, they also change our rate, right? Because your rate is going to depend on how much you take. So what we need to do, based off this table, figure out the rate that we're being charged. So with your team, try to determine a strategy for how could we determine our rate. Like 3 or 4 minutes probably. Devin, this is all we know. So they're saying, what is the percent interest? How much will we owe after 3? Like, we're going to finish this table, but I think we can finish the table pretty quickly. The harder amount, or the harder thing to figure out, is how much interest is happening. What is the rate? Go for it. I called it the bit formula because it's easier, but really in your brain, principal plus interest probably makes more sense. What did we start with, and then what extra do we owe? So if you want to call it BPI, that makes sense also. But balance is going to be your principal plus your interest. BPI is also, I think, blood pressure index. Yeah, body mass index.
We start with zero, then we add the rate, which is
All right, Peyton. Can you tell us everything we need to know? And if you can't, tell me anything you guys figured out. Ah, this must be my interest amount. Okay.
So 1,250 times the rate times 1. So we divide 1,250 times the rate divided by 1,250, and then we divided by $18.75.
Now hang on just a second. You're getting kind of ahead of me. I love what you said. I want to take a moment to point out that we can change order here, right? The commutative property says order of multiplication doesn't matter, doesn't change anything. If we don't know the rate, technically, what's better, so it's not right versus wrong, but what's better is put your variable at the end of what you're dealing with. So then Peyton said something very critical. We want to get rid of the 1,250 times 1. Well, times 1 doesn't make a difference. But to do that, she said we divide. And we divide over here. So we're now on the second problem where we're looking for rates. Is there any way that we could make some kind of formula for what we keep doing to determine the rates? Connor?
Interest cost divided by price.
Principal. Yeah, not price. Principal, because that's our starting amount. This will work. R.I.P. Rip. If it's the interest for 1 week, or 1 month, or whatever the 1 is in your situation. This will work if it's for 1. You got your nice Halloween appropriate RIP formula here. Rate is just the interest amount divided by the principal. That's what Peyton told us, right? We got to do the interest amount divided by the principal. So what'd you guys get, Peyton? 15 thousandths, which then really tells me it's 1.5%. Right? Because that would give me 0.015, which becomes 1.5%. Huh? Okay, how'd you do it?
I just found 1%, half it, and add the half to the 1%.
So Connor's saying what he did is he said, well, 1%, 1/100th, $12.50. Right? We can find 1% real easy. Because what I went on like a tirade about with tipping and finding 10%, just move the decimal. Right? Moving the decimal is easy. But then he said, well, half of a percent, half of that, 6.25. Oh, and the interest is that plus that. Oh, it's just 1.5%. That will also work amazingly well. We can then find 3 or 4 weeks by just adding on an extra 18.75. But if we then talk about like, okay, to the end of the school year, not for us. I mean, okay, so I can make this relative. We have 5 months, 21 more months. So like 24 weeks probably. if we needed to solve for 24 weeks, how much we would owe if we let it go till the end of the school year? Well, then we use our formula, right? We don't want to keep adding on 18.75 24 times. So we just set up 1,250 times our rate that we now know, but I can't use 1.5. Caught a couple people on this yesterday. Rate, we don't plug in the percent number, we plug in the decimal. Times 24 weeks. And then we can solve that really easy. This is why we have the formula, bless you, because once you get beyond a few, once you get above 3 or 4, you don't want to keep adding. You would rather multiply and get there quickly. What does this come out to be? What is it? 4? It can't be 4. Oh, that's the, so what is the balance? Sorry, we add it to our, so what is it? Yeah, so this, you said this interest amount, you said you got 450, but then if this is the balance, the total, I gotta add that with my 1,250. All of a sudden, we owe the PTSA $1,700, right? If we let it sit there for 24 weeks. So the longer you have that loan, the more you owe back. Are you saying something like that? Yeah, now we owe an extra 450 on what we could have just, you know, if we saved up money. How comfortable do we feel with this at this point?
The only problem with this that I have is forgetting how to actually do it. That's a problem.
Let's do this real quick, and then I'll give you the rest of the time for your homework. Let's do this, though. You guys, you 6, right? You 2, and you 2. Solve for situation 1 there, the local bank offer. So go ahead and read, catch on what we're doing. You guys solve the middle one. The math club offers a loan. And you guys solve the last one here, the booster club. So we got bank, math club, booster club.
I am very sure.
Working together.
That's, it told us, assume there's 4 weeks a month.
We'll compare it. Then we add the 900. Wait, what? Wait,
Well, really what we're answering is which one grows the fastest, because we don't want that one, right? That's a bad rate. If it's growing the amount we owe quickly, that's bad. Really what we're trying to answer is which is the best deal. 4, it says. Assume that a month is 4 weeks. If we bring this back together real fast, On the bank side of things, so even if you didn't sell bank, look at bank real quick. Bank people, can you tell me how we can figure out the weekly increase, Connor? Yeah, move that decimal 2 places. So 9.55 a week. But since the other one's giving me monthly, if we want to take this and make it a month, what do we multiply by? 4. We assume 4 weeks. So 955 times 4. $38.20. So that's how much the bank will increase what we owe them every week. The math club. Who can talk me through that one? Somebody who did math club. Yeah. Well, you should have. You're in the middle. It's fine. How do I do it, Braden? Braden, help me.
So, I found out that the monthly interest is about $208.
For the math club? That's a lot of interest. Math club must be doing some crazy stuff.
We didn't find it. How about we share since we actually
All right, Maren, how'd you do it?
Alright, so we did 940 times 0.045 times 4.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do times 4. Because if we're just trying to compare 1 month, we were given the monthly. That is the monthly rate. Ah, so you should get 42 and 30. So right now the bank is better, right? The math club wants to increase by $42 every month. The bank's only increasing by about 38. Then the booster club. Anyone from booster club be able to help me? If we know the interest amount, not quite. That was easy because we had 1,000 on the last one. We just said rate is interest divided by principal, right? That RIP formula. So if I take the interest divided by the initial amount, that's not quite as easy as when we divide it by 1,000. We get 3.75%. Really, what we got as an answer was 0.0375. But if we're just comparing, they're going to increase by 36 each month. They're going to increase by 42. They're going to increase by 38. This increases by less, and they actually give us more. Right? They give us $5 more than the bank offers, and they increase by less each month. The Booster Club is your best choice for a loan here.
Man, the math class needs to step it up.
Yeah. So, well, we don't have a lot of money, so when we loan it out, we need to get a good interest rate.
Wait, is that the best?
This, yeah, Booster Club is going to be your best because it only increases by $36 every month. This would increase by 42, which is what we owe them, right? We're going to owe them extra, and that's an extra $38. Yeah, but they gave us more to use, right? Like they gave us more money to use. So dive into your homework. We have till okay, great. Then we can work ahead into next week if you want. We're going to be doing 721 and 722. We have until 13 minutes, guys. It's 13 minutes. Listen. If you want info about winter sports, check out the bulletin board.